All right, it's the top of the hour. It is, I don't even know, May 23rd at noon Eastern. It's my kid's birthday. 26 years ago today, my wife brought two little kids into the world. We have twins and they're 26. I can't believe it. So happy birthday to them. I'm too young to have 26-year-old kids. But anyway, all right, we are here for our 31 flavors of video promo, and our fast forward folks are here as well. So we're doing double duty today. I'm going to open up for questions. I'm going to share my screen and show you some stuff. And hey, Penny. And yeah, I'll just answer whatever questions you may have around video. So far, folks have been doing pretty good uploading videos to Facebook or wherever they're posting. So that's been cool. I have not been as good about it. I'm a little behind. So I was trying to keep up with it myself. So I'm a bit behind, but I'll catch up because I tend to batch record and do a whole bunch at once. Before I share my screen and my slides, let me see if anyone wants to unmute or raise their hand with any specific questions. Otherwise, I'll just, I wanted to share some new YouTube stuff with y'all. And again, hopefully you're in the Facebook group now and then, checking on what's happening there. People are posting videos, people are asking questions. I did have a question that I wanted to address about the different software and things like that that I've been using and recommending. And I know I throw a lot of stuff out there because I test all kinds of software. And earlier today on Facebook, somebody was asking, well, when do you use Loom versus Zoom versus Descript versus Pictory? I mean, there's a lot of ways to do video here. So I will say that for video editing, 80% of the time I'm using Descript.com. And I've been editing video for longer than I care to admit, 25-ish years. And I had always used Final Cut Pro on the Mac, and has a steep learning curve, and it's always changing. And then a couple of years ago, Descript came along as a podcasting app initially, but then it sort of became a video app. So most of the time I'm using Descript.com to edit my videos. And what that means is essentially I'm trying to make them sound better and look better, and maybe add some embellishments like graphics and music and things like that. I use Pictory.ai to create videos, I guess you'd say from scratch. Let me just find my screen here and I'll show you the difference here. Pictory, yes, I do have 100 tabs, 200 tabs open. Hang on just a second. Here we go, Pictory. So Pictory is good if you are starting with a blank slate. If you have an article that you want to turn into a video, or if you have a podcast that you want to turn into a video. So for example, I'll give you an example of how I'm using Pictory. I had a client who did a podcast. So I had her audio and her script, and I brought it into Pictory, and just based on the script that she has and the audio that she has, Pictory picked out images to go with what she was talking about. It also added captions. Now I had to go in, she's basically talking about office conflict and toxic work environments and things like that. So the images I had to kind of go in and find if they're talking about office gossip and stuff like that. So, but for the most part, Pictory did a pretty good job finding images and footage to go along with this. So I was able to take an audio from my client, put it into Pictory, and Pictory turned it into a video. So it has, when I play the whole thing back, it has her voice and it has these video images. So I was able to basically repurpose her podcast and turn it into a video, so that now we've got an additional piece of content that she didn't really need to do anything. Because the audio and the already existed. So took the audio from the podcast, Pictory did the transcript and then broke it up into scenes, which are down here on the bottom. And then for each scene, they're trying to, find footage that aligns with that scene. So, and really, it's pretty automatic, but you still have to go back in and change images and things like that. So, but for the most part, Pictory is finding footage and images that it thinks is going to go with that video. So again, I'm using Pictory to repurpose existing content, or when I'm basically starting from scratch. So I have an article or a script that I want to bring here, or I have maybe I've got something, an article that I did on medium.com or something that I can bring in here. So Pictory is good for essentially starting from scratch, whereas Descript I'm using mostly for traditional video editing and enhancements and things like that. The Loom versus Zoom thing, which is also a little bit confusing. Oops, I gotta let some folks in here. Okay, sorry if you're just joining us. I apologize. I didn't. My screen was covering up the people who were in the waiting room, so I didn't see it. But welcome, welcome, welcome. We are just talking about the different kinds of software that you can use for video. And I realize now that I'm throwing a lot of ideas and information at you, so I wanted to make the distinction between the different kinds of software. So again, Descript for editing, Pictory for really more starting from scratch. And then Loom versus Zoom. Zoom I'm using mostly to record my videos. So I'm just using it as the way to capture the video. Nobody, typically when I'm recording on Zoom, there's not an audience there. Nobody else is there, but I'm just using it to record. Oops, let me just mute that. See how we're doing there. And then Loom, on the other hand, Loom versus Zoom, is really more for a screen capture or for a quick little demo or video or things like that. So oftentimes when I'm doing a Loom, I am sharing my screen. And when you're on loom.com, you typically show up as a little inset or circle here on the screen. You don't have to be on the screen, but you can use it to be on the screen while you're sharing your video. So the great thing here is I can go to a specific website or screen and jump around and show them, hey, I was asking a question about this, or I'm showing you how to use this. So as you can see, I use this a lot, but I'm mostly using it for demos and screen shares. So when I talk about screen share videos, you can be on screen or not. So here's one that I'll actually share to the group. This is a quick overview of Loom. So again, I'm doing a Loom on using Loom. So I'm on the screen here, but the user can just play this and stop it like a regular video. And now Loom is starting to add summaries and chapters and starting to use AI and things like that. Now, I could do a little bit of editing on Loom, but I tend not to, just because it's pretty basic. But the nice thing about doing a video here on Loom, if you're doing a screen capture, is you can share the link, or you can put the Loom video into an email, or you can share it on social. So again, I'm using Loom more for screen sharing, and then Zoom just for regular recording. So that's the distinction that I make there with the different kinds of software. Let me open up the chat real quick. John has a great question about Loom versus Zoom. Since you can use Zoom to capture the screen and make short recordings, what is Loom providing that Zoom is missing? They are pretty similar in that regard, except Zoom is going to just basically give you what you see is what you get, and you're going to download an MP4 file. With Loom, you have a little bit more flexibility in terms of sharing it. So rather than getting a file, you can download it, but rather than getting a file, I can go here from Loom to LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or Gmail without ever having to download anything. So the workflow is just a little bit cleaner and more streamlined with Loom. In addition, like I said, you can do a little bit of editing with Loom, but I tend not to. You can get your transcript here. You can see the transcript on the right. It'll tell you who's seen it or not seen it. You can do, filter out the background noise, and do, like I say, a little bit of basic editing. So Loom is a little bit more feature rich. If I'm doing Zoom, I'm just doing like the basic recording. With Loom, you can do a little bit more and you can share a little bit more easily. So John, I hope that answers your question. Let me go back to the chat, see if there's anything else here real quick. All right. So the other thing I wanted to talk about briefly today was, this is why I keep all these tabs open. I'm sorry, did anybody have a question? Let me just mute that just in case, because we're getting a little bit of background noise here. Okay. So one of the things I'm putting together that should be done in a couple of weeks is basically a YouTube, I guess you'd call it a YouTube makeover. Because a lot of folks have YouTube channels that either they're not maximizing or utilizing or leveraging, or they don't have a YouTube channel at all. So I'm going to set up basically a mini course to show you how to set up a YouTube channel. So this is really just a quick preview of that. But what I wanted to share in doing my research for YouTube, which I've been on since 2005, is that, the growth of YouTube is really something, it's kind of hard to digest these numbers. 2.49 billion monthly active users, and people spend 48 minutes on YouTube every day. So when somebody goes to YouTube, like the other day, my lawnmower wheel fell off. So where do I go? I go to YouTube and say, how do I fix the wheel on a Cobalt lawnmower? And I get 5 different choices or 100 different choices on videos of how to fix that. So, 48 minutes later, I'm now watching music videos on YouTube, and I'm like, wait, how did I get here? I just came on to fix my lawnmower. So maybe that's why people are spending so much time there. But the YouTube watch sessions are getting longer. People are spending more time on YouTube, and there are a lot of them. As far as YouTube Shorts, which are videos of under 60 seconds, 70 billion views per day, which is astronomical. 1 billion hours of YouTube videos on TV, and 239 million people is the size of the audience on YouTube just in the United States alone. The other thing that I stress a lot, especially having come from the television business, is that there's very little difference now, at least for millennials and younger folks, between a YouTube screen and a TV screen. It's almost like YouTube is becoming TV and TV is becoming YouTube. So I found this stat where it basically shows how people are watching television or screens. And OTT is over the top, is basically the fancy word for streaming. So this is your Hulus and Netflix and Amazon Prime and stuff like that. But YouTube, as far as YouTube reaching TV, they're really, really pretty powerful, which is kind of crazy. And then again, let me get this out of the way here. If you look at total TV usage by company, YouTube is right behind the Walt Disney Company in terms of media TV usage. And Disney's a huge conglomerate. They basically bought up the company that I worked for, Fox Kids Network. And then YouTube is right up there as far as being a media distributor. The other thing that I thought was interesting that I wanted to share that I'll be talking about in this class next month is just how YouTube has really started to dominate podcasting. And this is, in the last year or so, a real sea change as far as how people listen or view podcasts. So this is a very new stat. Weekly podcast consumers overwhelmingly associate YouTube with watching podcasts. So the question was, please identify which podcast platform you would associate with each of the following. You can, where you can watch as well as listen to podcasts. So YouTube was biggest there, more than Spotify, more than Apple, etc. And when it comes to live video, and this surprised me because I thought Facebook Live would be the best, YouTube also leads all these platforms in terms of live. So not just for podcasting. And then it occurred to me, like, I'm kind of dense, but like last night, I'm like, why are they getting rid of Google Podcasts? Oh, because Google owns YouTube, and Google is moving everything from their previous platform, Google Podcasts, over to YouTube. So now basically YouTube swallowed up Google Podcasts as well. So not only is YouTube really powerful in terms of podcasting, it's also very powerful in terms of live videos. So I know one of the prompts this past week was to do a live video, and that means you can go live to Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. But again, you can see, once again, YouTube dominates the landscape when it comes to live videos as well. So, I think we tend to take YouTube for granted because it's been around so long. But when you think about the fact that they've got 700 hours of content being uploaded to YouTube every minute. So I think I saw a stat a while back that said it would take you 9,000 years to watch all the videos on YouTube or something. I don't have that kind of time. So again, 70% of viewers bought from a brand after seeing it on YouTube. 86% of US viewers use YouTube to learn new things. Like I said, when my tire fell off of my lawnmower, my little push mower, I went right to YouTube to see what parts do I need and how do I replace it. I didn't go to Google or ChatGPT. I went to YouTube to see how do you fix this. And again, as I said, the average YouTube visit lasts more than 40 minutes. That's kind of about as far as I got with the YouTube presentation, but as you can see, it will come along nicely here. 90% of marketers use YouTube for their marketing efforts, and 90% of YouTube visits from users worldwide are viewed on mobile and smartphones. So keep in mind that, if you are doing any kind of marketing, YouTube should probably be in your bag of tricks. And also keep in mind, these numbers just happen to be the same, both 90%. Most people, the vast majority of people, are watching YouTube on their mobile devices. So just something else to keep in mind. So we'll have more for that next week and also throughout the next course and stuff. I just wanted to kind of share those stats in real time as I'm putting them together for this presentation. So I'll have that done in a couple of weeks, but in the meantime, I just wanted to kind of look at some of those numbers. And I get a lot of this stuff. Again, you can just sort of search it here and there. But for instance, which is this one, these are all just YouTube marketing statistics. So I'm taking a lot of these and just making them pretty slides. And this is from 2024. So what does this say? Yeah, this article was called 70 plus YouTube marketing statistics that will blow your mind. So I got most of this here. Again, 2.5 billion people use YouTube every month. 239 million users is the US audience. So I'll send the link to this, but it's just, some of these statistics are just mind-boggling. The other thing that's interesting is I think there's a perception that YouTube viewers are relatively young, but it's really kind of across the board. I mean, more male than female, but only 12% is 25 to 34. And 9% is 25 to 34. Wait, that says the same thing. Male versus female. Okay. So, it really runs across all demographics, all countries, all psychographics. So it's just crazy. So the bottom line is, if you're not using YouTube, you should be. And let me know, how that's all going, because YouTube is a lot of work. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You can just throw it up there and hope for the best, but you really have to maximize those videos. John has an interesting comment here about watching podcasts is an interesting slice of the market. bulk of podcasting happens when somebody's doing, other than watching a screen, like in the car or at the gym. So that's a really good point, because the reason that podcasting is so popular is it's sort of like what radio was 20 or 30 years ago, which is you can listen pretty much anywhere. Obviously, you can't watch, you can watch a podcast at the gym, but you can't watch a podcast if you're driving. So, no, you don't want. So podcasting is still very powerful in terms of listening and more flexible in terms of listening. But a lot of folks are discovering podcasts and watching podcasts on with video. So if you have an audio podcast, it's probably in your best interest to do some kind of video version, because it will open up a new audience for you and will give you, a different audience that are not just listening, but also watching. So oftentimes, a video podcast is just a screen grab or a thumbnail. And there's really nothing wrong with that. I mean, I do podcasts for clients where, the video is essentially the thumbnail with, a sound wave on it or something like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to have you on camera or a lot of movement. It's really just creating a video version so that you can leverage YouTube and you can put that podcast on YouTube. And really, you're just getting more bang for your buck because you're now opening yourself up to that additional audience. So I hope that's helpful. Let me go back here and see if there are any other questions real quick before I go back to my screen here. And I don't see anything in the chat. Feel free to unmute if you want, if you have a question about that. I'm going to go to Facebook real quick and make sure I didn't miss any questions there. By the way, if you're in the Facebook group, the Video Nation Facebook group here, in addition to posting your videos or commenting on other videos, there's Grace. You can, there's also a poll in there where I'm trying to kind of figure out which courses to do over the summer and in the next few months. And sometimes the reason I don't do more on YouTube, even though I'm doing that now, is it changes so quickly that it's hard to keep it up to date. So a YouTube course can be very perishable just because the information changes so quickly, but a lot of the stuff is the same, and a lot of it, the best practices in terms of titles, descriptions, thumbnails, and stuff like that. So I will tell you that a YouTube makeover class is in the works. An AI video mastery course is also in the works, and that's going to kind of go beyond Descript and delve more into using ChatGPT or Gemini or the other, what do they call it? Large language models, LMMs, or whatever it is. So basically how to use video or how to use AI to make better videos, from the very conception and ideas all the way to editing and production and distribution. So that this sort of goes beyond Descript and looks at all kinds of other cool new tools. Like there's one called scenery.video, which is AI video editing, which I'm playing with. And it seems like there's a new app or software almost daily. So I'm trying to curate all that and sort through it and demonstrate which tools are best for specific tasks. And so that's in the works. Feel free to put in your vote. Last year, I did a short form video challenge with my friend Rosie Batista. We're talking about doing that again. And interestingly, video podcasting and production, not so much. So maybe that's because AI is making that so much easier that you've already got that sorted out. Again, please feel free to unmute if you have questions. I can't see everything on the chat. So, oh, there it is. So if I'm not seeing it, feel free to raise your hand. I'll stop sharing so I can see my screen and see if there are any questions. I don't see any at the moment. So just in terms of general 31 flavors of video a day in May challenge, you can start now and do a week's worth of video if you haven't done much yet. So there's the thing about this challenge is you can come in and out at any time. Like I did a bunch at the beginning. I'll probably do a bunch at the end, but I sort of missed a bunch of days in the middle. You can follow the prompts. Every day you should be getting a prompt. In addition, if you're having trouble going back or finding the prompts, I have a playlist on my YouTube channel, which is unlisted, but you guys can see it and find it. Let me go over there and I'll show you where it is. So I have every single prompt and every single Q&A replay on that playlist. Let me just open my channel and I'll show you where that is so you can see it. Okay. So if you go to my channel, oh, be quiet, you. Which is basically the name of my channel is Lou Bortone Video. That's how you can find it, at Lou Bortone Video. And if you go there and you look at the playlists, there is a specific playlist for the 31 flavors of video. And all of the prompts are there. And all of the Q&As and replays are there as well. So you can jump around here and see everything kind of in one place. If you missed a prompt, if you want to go back, if you want to go sneak ahead, that's fine too. I'm going to turn this off. And over here, you'll see each one of those daily prompts. What day is it? We're on day 23. And if you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see there's some extra demos, there's some Q&As, some stuff about repurposing. So there's a few bonus videos there, but also the replays from the weekly Q&As there as well. We do this Q&A call every Thursday at noon in May. So there'll be one more next week on May 30th. But like I say, if you missed anything or you want to go back and see any of the prompts or any of the bonus videos, they're all in this playlist called 31 Flavors of Video 2024. And that's where you can find those. Otherwise, in the Facebook group, the reason I don't put the replays there is that the Facebook group is made up of several different smaller groups, and not all of the people are in 31 flavors of video. So I want to keep those separate. Let me go back here real quick and see if there's anything else that I missed. So we talked about YouTube and the enormous reach of YouTube, and just the fact that it's such a video beast that it would be in your best interest to have some kind of a presence on YouTube. The videos that you've been doing for the 31 flavors of video, you can absolutely put those on YouTube, and I don't see why you wouldn't. You can make your videos unlisted if you don't want other people to see them, which I'm not sure what the point of that would be, but like in this case, these videos are unlisted because I only want you guys to see them. So yeah, definitely. Whoops. Why am I back here? There's one of the videos. But you can go here anytime and obviously do your own thing on YouTube and upload your videos there, because it is just a very powerful platform. And you really should have your stuff there because it can be a lot more discoverable if it's on YouTube. Last but not least, I'm going to share in the group before we're done next week some tips for getting more subscribers on YouTube, because the hardest thing of all is to get your first, say, 100 subscribers on YouTube. It's not easy. You really have to incentivize people to subscribe and give them a reason to want to be able to find your stuff. All right. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Let me see if there's one more question here. Where can you watch this replay? Excuse me, Maisie. Also, as soon as it's done, I'll put it in the playlist here, the 31 flavors playlist on my channel. And then I also have it in my Automation Works, which is my CRM platform. But I know if you're not there, it's kind of hard to find your way back there. You have to go back to when you bought the course, and you have a link to that members area. But honestly, I think it's easier and quicker to find those playlists here on my YouTube channel. All right. Stop sharing. Any other questions, comments? or anything else before we wrap up here? I'm starting to feel that long weekend vibe, so I don't mind wrapping up early if you guys don't mind. And I'll be in the Facebook group. I will be Happy Memorial Day. And we'll do this again next week. Oh, do you have a question, Lisa?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
please go ahead.
And I'm Canadian, so we had our last weekend last one.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's like
you have a
a
different
ceremony.
Memorial Day.
Sorry,
Mhm.
but I won't keep it long. Um, because I'm very new to doing some videos and I haven't been posting them or anything. I've just been doing
Yeah,
some little batch practicing and that.
good. Yeah.
And so I had my kids looked at it and they're 12 and 16 and they're like, you sound like a mom talking to a preschool class. And I'm like, oh heavens. And so is there a way to kind of almost practice different
Mhm.
personalities? Because mine's for professional use that I'd be using
Yeah.
it down the road. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But do you have any tips?
And again, it's probably, you yourself and your kids are probably your worst critics. So most people probably wouldn't have the same reaction. And I think we're harder on ourselves than we need to be. But having said that, I mean, your target market is it business owners?
Yeah, like entrepreneurs and small
Yeah.
business owners for
So
business
a lot of it
consulting.
just comes with kind of practice. Like I have very different, like sometimes if you see my YouTube channel, I do really wacky stuff and dress up in costumes and things like that. So that's like one, like, okay, I'm just being goofball and I'm still trying to teach, but I'm trying to sort of couch it in edutainment. But I think you have to just sort of over time kind of find your voice or your voice on camera. And it doesn't, I mean, like you said, if your kids said it was like you're talking to preschool classes, it really just depends where your audience is. You got to kind of meet them where they're at. So if you feel like, okay, my audience is fairly sophisticated, I can afford to be, talk a little bit more technically or whatever. But I would say you just kind of find your voice into it and don't, if that's your method of teaching or sharing, you don't really have to change it for the camera. You just have to, find the right audience for it, and the right audience will resonate with your style.
Oh,
Um,
okay, yeah, because I don't teach preschoolers. I was a
mhm.
stay-at-home mom for
Yeah.
10 years, but I think I over enunciate because I'm trying
Mhm.
to not be really stiff and corporate and formal. So I think
Yep.
I resort to stay-at-home mom mode. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I'll just practice with it.
No,
So
and that's it. Like I said, you're probably being much harder on yourself than you need to be. And if you want to dip your toes in the water and post a few of them to the Facebook group, that's sort of a friendly space and a safe space where you can get feedback that isn't for your kids. Because my kids won't even watch my videos anymore. They're like, you're just going to embarrass us. And well, my kids aren't kids anymore, but they even said like, you're not allowed on TikTok. I'm like, okay, well, you can't stop me from being on TikTok. But, they just they don't want to see it. But again, if it's a business audience, you just want to try to find your voice and be yourself. You don't necessarily have to be like, okay, I'm serious Lou because I'm on LinkedIn or whatever. And it also depends on the platform because Facebook is really informal. YouTube, it's like anything goes. LinkedIn, yeah, maybe it's more corporate. Maybe I'm not going to dress up like a clown and do a video on LinkedIn that way. So it also depends a little bit on not only your audience, but also the platform that you're using.
okay.
But I
Okay.
would say just keep at it and you'll sort of naturally fall into a rhythm that works for you.
Okay. I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa. Yep, as Maisie says, be yourself. Use your imagination. I mean, that's the thing when I'm trying to look at the camera, I'm trying to think like, okay, I'm talking to Lisa and Maisie and whatever else. And, I mean, it's just, as I tell folks, it's only video. So keep at it, and I'm sure you'll sort of fall into it. All right. So unless there are any other questions, just looking at the chat real quick. Yeah, John says your children might not know what an audience of business owners sound like. So show up as you, and the people who want what you sound like will find you, authentic rather than overly practiced. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, I kind of gave up trying to read scripts and be too scripted. I just kind of wing it. So yeah, keep at it. And also the other way I practiced was sort of doing off camera videos first. Like if I'm screen sharing slides, I don't feel as much pressure because I'm not on camera, but I'm able to kind of share my slides. So hopefully that helps. I think that's it. I think we're going to wrap it up. I will put the recording in the YouTube playlist. and I'll be on Facebook every day to check videos, etc. So keep on posting, keep on chugging along, and we got another week or so to go, and we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you, and bye for now.